Hey guys, so over the past like 2 days, I got a bunch of emails and like DMs asking how I got off the wait list at Princeton Columbia, because I'm assuming that a lot of you guys saw my college decision reaction video where I literally got waitlisted at like 10 schools, and then I got off the Columbia and Princeton waitlist last year. So I had a bunch of you guys telling me that you got waitlisted at an Ivy League school like Princeton or Columbia, and you wanted to know how you could increase your chances of getting off and like any advice that I had. To be honest, like the same with like just like any admissions in general, like I don't know exactly what got me in, but I do have like a pretty good idea of what potentially could have gotten me in, especially because it was like two schools. So this video is just going to be a compilation of like answers to all the questions that you guys asked. Like the reason that I'm filming a video instead of replying to everyone is because I got like 100 something like emails and DMs. So obviously I can't really reply to all of them, and they were mostly the same questions. But I did read every single one today, and so I'm going to try to answer all the questions here and give like any advice that I have. That being said, like disclaimer, I'm not an admissions officer, like obviously, and like the reason I'm filming this video is because when I got waitlisted and I was searching up like what can I do to like get off the waitlist, guess what? There was like no good information online. Like literally every single like waitlist article was um like turn in your letter of continued interest and then like hope for the best and like don't get your hopes up. So basically for like the Ivy League waitlist articles, it was basically like turn in your LOCI and then which is like the letter of continued interest and like give up. And I was like thanks, like it's not really helpful. So hopefully this is a bit more helpful than that. Also, I know how like frustrating this whole situation is. Like it's so fucking annoying that like you're almost like done with the college process and then there's like more like waiting and stuff. And so like I guess like with the articles like don't like get your hopes up too much, but also like this is like your last chance of like getting admitted to like whatever schools that you want to get into. So I would just say like try your best, and if it doesn't work out, then like obviously that's not the end of the world. But yeah, it's basically just like a really frustrating situation. And also it's definitely like a time sensitive thing. So if you're like watching this video and you got waitlisted like a couple days ago or like whenever you're watching this, then like just like act quickly, I guess, is like my best advice. Also, I guess like before I start, I should just like introduce myself really quickly. Last year I got waitlisted at a bunch of schools and then I got off the waitlist at Columbia and Princeton and I ended up going to Princeton. So now I'm a freshman at Princeton. And before that, I was committed to Rice University. Okay, so I think the first step is to follow directions. So if you haven't done that, like do that right now. Read all the policies that they have, like for your school specifically. I remember for Columbia, also this is like all last year, so like make sure you read it. But last year, when I got waitlisted at Columbia, there was like a one-page PDF, like update letter you're supposed to send, which I think is like the letter of continued interest. And basically, if it like already says like you should turn it in, then like do it. If it says it's optional, that probably means you should do it. So that was for Columbia. For Princeton, it was like really vague and it almost said like don't do it, but I just did it anyway because like I don't know, like I'm just like that. Um, so like be careful, like don't be too aggressive and like just like submit like everything you have, but also if it's like if you're on the edge about it, I would say just like do it, especially if it's a school like Columbia or Princeton where the chances of getting off the wait list is already so slim, like you might as well. Um and also with like the whole like reading policies thing, like look at what they say to do and like not do. Like for some schools, I think it was like UVA, it was literally like do not submit any updates. Like it was like very clear. Um, so when it's like that, then like don't do it. But for Princeton, I did submit a letter of continued interest. Same with Columbia. So that was step one is like follow directions. Step two is to do research on like the waitlist policies like overall. Definitely look up how to write letter of continued interest. I can talk about that a little bit in a second, but like just have a general idea of how the waitlist thing like works. A big thing is like look at percentages of how many people get in so that one, you know, like realistically like your chances, even though it's not like that accurate, but okay, I'm currently editing this video in Stone and I realized that like what I literally said the past 2 minutes didn't make sense. So I'm just gonna like restate it now, hopefully a little bit more clearly. I think percentages are more important for your scheming of how to get in rather than like predicting your chances of getting in. So for example, if it's a school like Princeton where like 1% of kids from the waitlist get off every year, or something like really low like that, then I would say you should do everything in your power to get off, assuming you really do want to get off. On the other hand, if it's a school where it's like 20% of the kids get off every year, then I would say less is actually more in those cases. Like, don't overdo it because you have a pretty good chance of getting off. In that case, I think like a pretty strong loci and like maybe one more update should be fine. So, how I wrote my letter of continued interest, which I submitted to like 10 schools, I did write. I mean, it was like pretty similar for each school, but I did like rewrite it for every single school I was really interested in. Okay, so I just pulled up, this is so funny. So I pulled up like what I wrote to Princeton Missions, my letter of continued interest last year. It is like a bit cringy looking back on it, but I think it's still like a pretty good like letter for what it was. So, first paragraph, okay, Dear Princeton Missions, first paragraph, it was basically like, thank you for the spot on the wait list. Like, I understand it was like really competitive and like I'm still really excited that I'm on the wait list. Like, I don't know, something like that. And from like my top two schools, I was like, if you offer me a spot, I will definitely commit, which I think is like a pretty good idea to like include that if you really, really love that school, if it's like your dream school that you got waitlisted at. I had a lot of updates like regarding my application because at the time I was applying, I didn't have the same like awards or like updates that I had. So I included those and I included like a link to my senior like research project which had to do with like my major and like what I wanted to study. So that was like my biggest like paragraph was like explaining what exactly I wanted to do like at the school. Um, and then I included like new awards and other like updates and titles that I got. I don't know. Um, and then I just added like one line about how I was maintaining my GPA, just like one really kind of like cheesy sentence at the end, like, I really want to go and I'll do all this if I can come to Princeton or whatever school. And then thank you for your time and reconsideration and sincerely, Jeannie Chang. And then I put the reference number at the end of like your admissions like number thingy, just so it's like easier for them to like locate me in their system. And then I also included like a link to my art website, so just like any important links and stuff. And this was all like exactly one page. Definitely keep it concise. I wouldn't go over a page. Like there's really no need for it to be any longer than that. So yeah, I like sent that in. So basically to summarize that because I just like rambled for like 10 minutes, include new updates. Also like you can find this like literally online like a template for how it's written, but include like any new updates, like any new information, and basically just like reaffirm your interest, and talk about like what exactly you want to do at that school. And usually it's better if you connect like what you want to do to something that you're already like good at and that you like proved. Like my thing was kind of like art, and I was like, these are the new awards I got for art. Like I want to do art at your school. Admit me. So yeah. And then um and up to here, a lot of people will write locais. Like most people, if they want to go to that school, especially for like Ivy League schools where everyone's like, oh, like I want to like try to get in again. Like most people are going to submit like letter of continued interest. And so that's kind of like the bare minimum, I would say. If you don't care that much, then you can just like stop there and then like hope for the best. And you're just like okay, like I already have a school I want to go to, like it's fine. But if you're like really like trying to go, then I would also do these like next steps.
So after you submit your loci or like follow the directions and do whatever they tell you to do, then you want to do things to kind of like make you stand out. That's going past like the minimum of what you're supposed to do. So from here you want to get creative. This is like step 3 or 4. I literally don't remember. So what I did was I literally started emailing everyone I could like find a connection to the universities. Like disclaimer, I literally didn't know like anyone, like I didn't have any connections to Princeton or Columbia. I think a good place to start is to reach out to your interviewers if you had one. Um, I reached out to like all my alum interviewers for the schools that I was waitlisted at and I wanted to go. Um, and I just sent like a small or like I sent a short email just being like, yeah, I got like waitlisted, kind of similar to the loci, but like keep it like very concise and just like ask if they have any advice, if they know anyone who got off, or what they think like the best steps are going forward. Um, Everyone I emailed got back to me. I will say like my alumni interviewers, like they were all really nice. They didn't have any like particular advice or like steps I should take, but they were all like, yeah, like the chances are really slim, but I do know like a couple people who got off, or like they'll, like in really, really good cases, they'll send you emails of people you should like reach out to potentially. That wasn't the case for Princeton or Columbia, but I think that's just like a good first step in general. So everything I did was basically by email. And then after the interviewers, I emailed other people at the universities. I'm not going to say specifically who, just because I feel like then everyone would email the same person and that would probably not look good for like anyone. But I would say reach out to people who are working in the fields that you're interested in at those schools. Um I know this is like really vague. I just don't want to get so specific where everyone is like doing the same thing and then it doesn't look good for anyone. I just like looked at all my past emails from like that month. I was like waitlist and I was like doing all the waitlist stuff. I sent like 100 emails. That was across like several schools, but still like I sent a lot of emails. Like obviously don't annoy admissions or like don't annoy people who work there and like get blacklisted, but I think it's still worth like reaching out if you genuinely want to go, and don't email saying like I want to go, like get me in. Like kind of like just say like what you want to do at those schools and why you're emailing them specifically, and if they have any advice. Like I'm looking at one of the emails I sent to like a Princeton person right now, um, and I'm pretty sure this is the email where I sent like the same kind of template email, but like I made my own and then I like revised it for different people. But I'm pretty sure this is like the email that like got me in, and this is the person that got me in. But basically, I just described why I was emailing them specifically. Like, um, it was someone that was interested in like art and working with like art and like social justice, and like altruism. And so I emailed them saying that's like what I want to work with too, and then I sent them my portfolio and things I've worked on in the past and like my research video again. And I just really tried to convey why I want to go there for that specific reason. Like mine was about art and like what specifically I wanted to do with art at Princeton and Columbia. And they were different for both of those schools because obviously they're not the same school. Like I don't know how much more specifically I should talk about it, but the basic template for an email would be really similar to the loci, but just adding the like element of like you're talking to like one person, so you have to like narrow it down to like kind of fit their interests and why they would respond to you. Like don't expect any of the people to get back to you. You just have to do it being like same with the whole waitlist thing, like just like pretend like it's not going to happen anyway, but like you just like won't know if you don't try, you know? So the key thing for like emailing people at those schools if you're doing that is asking for advice about the waitlist, and also if there's any people they can connect you with, or like any emails. Like literally getting one good email could like literally change the whole thing. So do that. I think that's it for like direct steps you should take, but I think if there's a school or like a couple of schools that you really want to get off the waitlist for, you should try to be as consistent as possible and keep up with them without like being annoying, obviously. Um, like for example, I think I updated the schools like once a week. Um, and don't repeat the same thing over and over again. Like they're gonna be like, "What? Like, why are you emailing us?" But I would send like an update and ask for it to be added to my application. Some of the schools like Princeton, at least like last year, you could just upload it on the portal, so I would upload it as like a new PDF. But like also keep in mind that like not even like just because of waitlist, but I was doing other things like during that time when I was applying to colleges and after the application process, um, of like things that I was interested in. And so I kept having like new things to update them about. Like don't if you don't have any updates, then just like don't send it. Um, but I would just like give them like one or two lines about what I was working on or any new accomplishments, stuff like that. I hope everyone can get off the wait list, even though it's statistically not like everyone will get off. But um, I would say you don't know until it's over. Um, like, don't rely on getting off the wait list, but I would say it's definitely worth a shot if you really, really want to go. Um, I know when I was applying, I said this earlier, but like everyone was like, there's like no way you can get off, like, just like give up. But guess what? I'm here, so that's the end of this video. I hope it was like at least a little bit helpful. Because this video was like not scripted and I was just like blabbering, I'm just gonna like summarize it into points below or give like timestamps. Um, or like explain anything I missed in the caption, not the caption, the description box. Good luck, and I will see you next time.